Welcome to the Get Into Motorsport podcast, where we hear from people involved in many different areas of the sport. They're going to be telling us where it all started for them. I am Holly Bailey, a former British Rally Championship driver and team manager, and as a rally instructor of over 20 years, one of the most commonly asked questions on the experience days was, how do I get into motorsport? Don't forget to subscribe to get notified of the next episode. Today we talk to Rob Stanger, a tutor at East Surrey College, about his motorsport students and the college racing team competing in the City Car Cup at race circuits around the UK. He tells us about where he started with his dad, his love of minis, working on American muscle cars, and the challenges of living with ADHD.
I'm going to just talk to you about you being down here at Brands Hatch today. Tell us what you're doing, first of all, with your students.
I'm down here with my students. We're in the City Car Cup at Brands Hatch. We have level 2 and level 3 motorsport students. The level 3s do 2 years on the course and the level 2s do 1 year. What they got to do as part of their qualification is be part of a real racing team. And they definitely are part of a real racing team today. We had Friday night, we had only one car running, and we literally spent from about 9 o'clock in the morning all the way till nearly midnight to actually get the car running. We eventually did, and that was thanks to the actual community, the City Car Cup community. So it wasn't just that. I'm not going to take all the credit for trying to find the fault, although I nearly sussed it. It was a group effort, and it's just fantastic how, you know, series that are like this, especially City Car Cup, especially for young people and students, that they can see there is a proper motorsport community.
So how did you get involved in this?
It goes back a long, long way, and I probably had the biggest opportunity in my life when I was about 17. But my dad got me into stock car racing. I was an extremely young baby. I think I was probably about 6 weeks old. He had one of 6 VW split screen campers, and we used to go camping on holiday, and he decided to do a Land's End to John O'Groats when I was only 6 weeks old. So you can imagine my mum taking me and looking after a new baby, and there's my dad saying, let's go and do this journey. So I must have enjoyed it. So I still enjoy camping. My first love is minis, and then I'll tell you about my second love. But minis, I used to work when I was 13 at New Malden Mini Centre, and used to help my uncle. We used to buy the minis in, change the subframes. I got involved in that. So I was always, doing various things when I was younger. My dad was a Sparky as well, and I used to help him rewire houses before it was, you couldn't bring teenagers onto work sites. Anyway, I managed to get this apprenticeship for VW, and as a youngster about 16, 17, I wanted to work on the new Audis, and my boss at the time, the director, had an Audi Quattro, white Audi Quattro, and that was like, I was just looking at something, this amazing machine. I actually did a service on it for the director, and the ramp actually, because it was not a very high roof, I actually scratched the bonnet of the car because I left the bonnet open, and they had to rush it to the body shop. I still kept my job though. But my boss was into American muscle cars, and he said, come on, you're going to work on my Dodge Charger and a Challenger, and we did a full rebuild, plumb crazy, Mopar powered, Hemi engined car, and I was absolutely disgusted. I was thinking, I just come here, I want to work on the modern cars. And didn't realise till a little bit later on that actually it was the best thing that could ever happen to me. So I spent a lot of my apprenticeship on Chrysler Hemi, Mopar power engines, absolutely, now I'm thinking about it, I didn't take it in, didn't live in the moment at that time. Anyway, he had a drag racing team. He had a funny car, top fuel, Volkswagen Passat, only car that was created at that time. He wanted to break the 200-mile barrier, which we did, and we won the Nationals, the world finals at Santa Pol in 1989. I used to be part of the pit crew, obviously by default because I was an apprentice at the time, but didn't really take it in. I mean, I did really enjoy it, but I was always looking for another team. There is actually some footage up on YouTube of in 1989. I couldn't be seen, but everybody else was. But I was probably wandering around with other teams and stuff like that. But I actually decided to go to America. I left my job that was probably a couple of months later, and actually went to look to see if I could get involved in drag racing. With those engines, they do 4-second passes. We broke the 200-mile-an-hour bracket. Now, today they're doing about 360 miles an hour, even just in the lower classes. It was a full rebuild after 4 seconds. It literally destroys the engine. So I was responsible for the clutch packs. Clutch pack is, it's got like a multi-clutch because there's so much torque going through from the engine back to the gearbox, it would just a single plate, because most modern cars have just a single plate clutch. So on motorbikes or racing vehicles, they have multi-plate clutch. They have more than one clutch plate. So it allows that it transfer the torque through to the road wheels, because otherwise what would happen is you put your foot down, it would literally burn your clutch out. So we have a multi-clutch plate, and that has to be changed each time as well. So that's how I started. And then I had my own workshop. I was 22 years old, and I used to restore Minis and Mercedes, old classic Mercedes. And then I dabbled in and out of a bit of motorsport, helping people like my mate doing classic saloon car racing, because I used to be able to build the engines, Cooper S's. He had a Mini Cooper. Got involved in some auto testing as well. Did a couple along with Dira Drive, and then really went from there. And then sort of ducked in and out of it. Got involved in the performing arts world as well. Did a bit of acting there. Wanted to be an actor, decided I want to be an actor. Unfortunately, I've got ADHD and Asperger's and an autism, and then you just change your mind so many times of doing things. And then it just went from there. Then I got involved in doing some motorsport stuff. I worked with young people with gang and knife crime, took them to Brands Hatch. I actually tried to set up a motorsport free school. We got all the planning permission. That was after working at a skills centre that got closed down. That was a good secondary school in the sort of Berkshire area. So yeah, then we went from there, and then I got involved in club level motorsport.
So just tell me a minute. So ADHD, has that helped you? Has that been your superpower in any way?
Yeah, it is a superpower. I know it's used as that term, but it's also a pain in the backside, because you've got to settle on something. To be honest with you, though, the only quiet place when I've gone out on track is the fact that my brain actually slows down because the car's going fast. So that has always been my quiet space. Okay. So I tell you, that really hit home. I saw the F1 movie. This was probably last year, the one that's with Brad Pitt in. And you love it or you hate it. But he actually went and, you know, the character, you knew he had ADHD. He went out on track, and it seemed like everything slows down. And that's what it feels like when I go and do. I mean, you know, I'm not doing anything more exciting than auto solo at the moment, and I plan to go and do my odds to do some hill climbing or some circuit racing. Again, obviously a little sweet spot for sort of like mighty minis or something like that. But it's just down to being part of the race team. That's my priority, and obviously teaching motorsports.
So when you're on track, would you say that you're kind of hyper-focused?
Yes, I am. I think probably, and this is going to sound a bit mad, because I think speed's probably saved my life. I would go to a little story where I used to enjoy my little Aprilia two-stroke bike, which was on full power. And I actually I was working for somewhere which I actually had a breakdown. And what actually kept me alive was the fact of this little power-banded two-stroke bike. And what it was is I learned to be mindful, because when you're on the bike, you just think about bike. That's all you think about. You don't think about anything else. And that helps you from all the intrusive thoughts that come into your head. So I would recommend, if you're going through, you know, sort of situations like that, is to find something that you can be mindful of. And I find race cars, fast bikes, fast cars do that. You get into that zone. And yeah, you do. You do hyper focus. But there's something else. There's just this joy that you get, this buzz. Now, especially if I'm out on my Mini, my little classic Mini, and you find this just fantastic country lane. And yeah, you might go a little bit faster than you should do, but you're just in that zone, and you just know you're part of the car. You're part of the machine. You are an extension of that machine. So you're not a driver in that car. You're just that extension. You're part of the mechanics. You are just as one, and it's just absolutely immense. You know, you're out on track, and you just feel it, and just it's almost like the electric pulses are going through the car and you. And I believe sometimes you've gone faster because the current you're producing inside has helped that ignition system spark a bit more. I know that sounds mad, but it just feels like it. And it feels like a real natural, although you're in a machine, it feels like you're going down to a atomic structure, and that is all space in between. And it's all alive. It's all, yeah, absolutely. Energy. Sorry, I get so involved and passionate about it. It's like,
And what some sports people call it is getting in the flow. You feel at one with everything that if you're in a vehicle, you're at one with the vehicle, and everything is just moving together in sync. I get that too. I noticed when I worked at Silverstone that I calculated that 70% of the instructors were dyslexic. Would you say that actually a good proportion of students have maybe dyslexia or some other kind of neurodiversity that actually can be their superpower?
Yeah, I think you mix with your own tribe. I used to think that I had a good perception of young people, but then I realised actually after getting diagnosed, I was diagnosed at 40, that actually it was just a matter of just noticing people exactly the same as me. And you find a lot of creative people have that neurodiversity, and you can see when it's hurting them and when it's really eating away, stuff is eating away. And it's sometimes, as I say, especially doing something like this, you will find that you've got a situation where you worry about it. So if the car's not going quite right, you're going to have a sleepless night going over and over and over in your head, which actually doesn't always help. You really need to know how to switch off. That's always a problem, I find, but you do connect and then you can support. I mean, I do a lot of management of their needs as well. So I'll talk to them and say, look, and I'm honest. I tell them from the very beginning, new year, induction, this is what I've got. This is how I work. And sometimes, I'm going to find difficulties. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed. I want just pure honesty when we work together. That's it. So if you didn't feel like getting up that morning, then there's no problems. But that means we can get out. We've got out. We managed it. And that happens even the best things. Sometimes you get something that is the most exciting thing ever. And when it comes to it, you don't know how to deal with it. It becomes too overwhelming. And that does happen to me. Believe me, Friday, came down here, all the other races, for the first 10 minutes, I'm so overwhelmed about everything because I'm so joyous and I have so many feelings going on in my head. First few minutes, it's hard to cope with. I want to just go somewhere quiet. Why am I here? But then it all calms down. And I think it's the same for students. You're learning something, you've got to find that. And you've got to find your niche. You've got to find that skill you love. And then suddenly you will hyper-focus on it.
So what do you see going forward? How do you think the series is going to progress? How do you think your team at East Surrey College is going to progress? What's ahead of you?
I'm one of these, I've got a train of thought that I feel that actually sometimes when you go through adversity, perhaps the car's not working properly or you've got a lot of repairs and stuff to do, that's a win. Because the students are going to learn in the most difficult situations. That's why I do love the situation of rallying, because the service team is out in all weathers, under a tarpaulin, under a shelter. And that is, when you're taking cars apart and doing stuff like that. So I think for us, it's all a win. If we win and we got a successful car, we win. If we don't have a successful car, but we learn a hell of a lot, we win. If we get sponsors on board and they come down and we entertain them, and we win. I just don't see any losing here whatsoever. I reckon the season is going to get better and better. I think we'll gradually improve as it goes along. We've done extremely well, our drivers today. Luke Steele, he was in 19th, and with a car that's not very well prepared, and that's not anybody's fault, it's just it was a bit of a rush getting it out, he got to 11th place. And we've got our resident driver, which is Carter Bate. He done extremely well and held his own. He got P6 and qualification, but he got down to 19th. But both cars come home, fantastic. We can put them on out for the next race, and then hopefully put them back on the trailer, and everything's good. That is a fantastic weekend. We will build on stuff, but that's all we've got to do. And both drivers obviously coming home safe. That's another priority.
Right. Well, I think you've got another race this afternoon.
Yes, we have.
At 3:00.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. And good luck with this afternoon.
Fantastic.
I'll speak to you a bit later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Rob, and thank you to you for listening. If you want to see what the students are doing, then go and see them at Silverstone on the 13th and 14th of June, and check out the studentmotorsport.com website. There is a motorsport course at a college or university near you. Check in next week for another episode of Get Into Motorsport.